What's going on, guys? Happy Monday to you. It's our brand new show. Out of the gate here, track announcer Chris Griffin joining you here in the Parx Racing studio. And we're set to kick off a week of racing action, but we've got this brand new show coming up for you every Monday at 11:15 in the morning. We're going to handicap. We got plenty of features talking about some of the connections on the backside, some of the horses that you might want to watch out for in the upcoming weeks, horses that have had great performances over the past few months. And we're going to catch you up on all that is Parx Racing here on Mondays at 11:15. So if you want to be a guest on the show or you want to just give us a shout out, don't forget you can always follow me at In the Grandstand on Twitter. Give me a shout. Let us know how we're doing, and we'll just continue to bring you some new items for the show. So for our debut episode, we got Jessica Paquette coming up a little bit later on. We're going to talk to some of our trainer connections. But first, we got a video that we shot and talked about with Regina Brennan, trainer Regina Brennan, and also owner Jennifer Trueheart. They talked about a couple of their horses, Promise Storm and Rock on Luke, who was the winner of the Ballezzi Appreciation Mile. So we got a chance to catch up with them on the backside and visit with their entire team. And this is what we found out from trainer Regina Brennan and owner Jennifer Trueheart.
It's a tight team. The owner's over here every morning taking care of her horses, so you know she's dedicated. And her man gallops for us, so he's dedicated. And then Jerry, our assistant trainer, you can ask him any question about horses, baseball, football, you name it, he knows it. That's our assistant trainer. Where's Jerry is what we say every morning.
Started out with quarter horses. You know, I still have quarter horses, barrel horses at home, so horses are running the family, you know. About 4 years ago, I started here at Parx and got Promise Storm was the first horse. So, and she just brought everything up level to level, and then I got Luke, and he's got the next level, you know, so them two, they just keep me rolling, you know. So I don't know if I'll ever own another horse like them, but hey, it's good why they're here.
Owner Jennifer Trueheart speaking about Promise Storm, but most recently, Rock on Luke has become the stable star.
He's just, since we bought him as a yearling, he's just been spectacular. You know, he's grown so much and become this big, you know, we call him the big guy. So he's just, I don't know, he's fabulous. He really is.
Regina Brennan and Jennifer Trueheart, they took us through the trip for Rock on Luke in the Ballezzi Appreciation Mile.
Oh, it was phenomenal. It was great. I mean, he shot out of there like a rocket ship, and Paco said, I'm not going to be nice today. He just took off. He's always liked to be up front. We tried to, ever since we started, he just broke out of gate. He breaks like a shark, we call him. And he always gets the lead and sits there. You know, we had Mikey Sanchez on him, and he did wonders with him. And actually, Mikey couldn't ride him the one time, and Paco got on him, and he did wonders with him in this race. You know, he's very quick. He is. To put away the field like he did, it was definitely a surprise, you know, the other day in the Ballezzi race. If they can get out there with that easy lead, and nobody was challenging him, so I knew my rider had confidence, and I had confidence, and turning for home, I thought we were a winner. Compared to the previous race, you know, that he just run, and this one, same fractions, but Paco had him in his hand, you know, checking him, looking around, and he's like, and I just went like this, and I was like, oh my God. And then he come around the stretch, the quarter pole, and he just left them, you know. Of course, everybody's screaming, but it was a great day, and shout out to Mike Ballezzi. I couldn't have wished for a better stake race to win. But in honor of Mike, he's been great for the horsemen. Right now, I think he dominates his field, you know, open allowance and stuff. If one comes up, that's where we're going, you know. If another little stake comes up, that's, you know, we'll go there too. He definitely likes his home track. You know, walking out of the stall is the best for him. When we travel, he gets a little, you know, high-strung, but he can run wherever we put him.
The Pennsylvania-bred Promise Storm has meant a lot to Brennan and Trueheart, and they talk about her future plans. She's very honest, and she gives everything she has, so I knew she'd run well. I know it wasn't her distance, but I knew she would try. Her performance was fabulous. I think Frankie rode her great. You know, they got a little mumble-jumbled in the beginning, but Frankie brought her to the outside, and when he asked her to go, she went. She just ran out of track. She did. After racing, we do hope to breed her, you know, because she is PA bred. Hopefully, you know, we'll get something good out of that. And then I have 2 kids that love her to death, so they'll be probably riding her around at the farm, and she's just a lifer. Thanks again to trainer Regina Brennan and owner Jennifer Trueheart, their entire team, for giving us access to visit with some of their horses. And nice to hear that Rock On Luke, he's going to be continuing to race and looking for some of those conditions to get to the front end and show that early speed and run on very well. So remember that name, and then Promise Storm, she'll go off to the breeding shed, but nice to hear that her kids are going to have a nice time with her as well right around the farm. So congratulations to them on their season. We'll see what happens in 2022. Hey, we got the Breeders' Cup coming up this weekend, and we had plenty of great horses prepping right here at Parx during Derby and Cotillion Day. We got a chance to catch up with, she was our on-site analyst. She joined us here that day, and she did a terrific job. But Jessica Paquette went through some of the Breeders' Cup connections, some of the horses that we like, and she even handicapped a little bit for today's Monday afternoon card. So let's take it to that video when we got a chance to catch up with Jessica Paquette, on-air analyst right here, and talked about the Breeders' Cup and racing right here at Parx. Debut episode here of Out of the Gate. It's track announcer Chris Griffin, and wow, what a very special guest that we've got joining us. We had to have you for the first guest, right? You were here.
Well, thank you for having me.
The one and only Jessica Paquette. Hello, Jessica. First of all, thank you for being here. Congratulations on being the very first guest for Out of the Gate. Handicapping, some insight. We're going to talk about a few races, but before we get into any of that, hello, and how are you feeling, most of all?
I mean, I've had better months, to be honest. For those of you that don't know, I broke my back in a very stupid freak horseback riding accident. So I don't recommend that. 0 stars. And I am just a couch potato for the foreseeable future. So it's nice to kind of pretend to be a human for at least a half hour today, Chris. So thanks for having me. But
Jessica's joining us here on Out of the Gate, our debut episode, to handicap some races. We'll talk about today's card, that Monday card. But then we're also going to look at the Breeders' Cup a little bit, Jessica. And so we had some horses that prepped right here at Parx for the Breeders' Cup. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. But I do want to remind everybody that right here at Parx, November 5th and 6th, that's coming up this week, on Friday and Saturday, you can wager on those events right here with us on site here at Parx Racing. So again, the Breeders' Cup, you can watch and wager on it. It's at Del Mar 2021. And then let's talk about the distaff a little bit. And Clairiere, she wins the Cotillion right here, and we'll throw that replay up for you as well. You take a look at Clairiere in this spot. She came from off the pace. Everything kind of set up for her in this race. What did you notice in the paddock going into that race, and kind of taking a look at some of those fillies, 3-year-old fillies, as they went the 2-turn distance? Was Clairiere really standing out to you? Did you really feel like she was going to put forth that performance? And how do you feel about her going into the distaff?
She looked phenomenal on Cotillion Day, and you kind of noticed right away how on the muscle she was, especially when she got what I call the grade 1 treatment, where she winds up with a handler on both sides. And you knew Steve was serious about her when he took the lead rope himself. But I think she's up against it a little bit, facing some real mature fillies. Latruska is my favorite horse in training. I am shamelessly rooting for this filly. And also, I'll admit, the absolute worst racing take I've ever had was before the Ladies Classic, when I texted you when we were at Sam Houston saying, man, I don't like how she looks. She's not that impressive looking. And boy, has she just continued to prove me wrong each race this year. But she's won me over. I think it's her race to lose. And I think Clairiere, has had a hard campaign. She's showed up every time and really has shown she's a really honest filly. You know, those kind of long campaigns do take a toll at a certain point.
And then we talk about the mile, and this race even caught the track announcer off guard, because if you would have told me that Silver State was going to run by Mind Control, was going to be clear, and I said it in the call, it's the one line that I wanted. There were 2 lines I wanted back from the day, but that was one of the lines that I wanted back. I thought Silver State had done the job. He had put him away, and then Mind Control comes back and re-rallies and gets the victory. And
so Silver State gets the distinction from me, not only being the best looking, best turned out horse I saw on Pennsylvania Derby Day, he might be a top 5 best looking horse I've seen in my entire life covering horse racing and being a fan. He was just exceptionally well put together and looked like a horse ready to run a peak race, which he did. No shame in the way he lost. And I know there's some, criticism of the ride afterwards. And I don't think that was it. I think Mind Control just said, I'm not losing today, and just found a way to win. But Silver State, for those of you at Del Mar and getting to see him in person, see how good he looks. If you don't see him quite as dappled out, or maybe if he loses a little weight from Pennsylvania Derby Day, I'd look elsewhere. But maybe he is a horse that needed that race last time out, and he's going to come in looking even better.
Is there a very simple way to teach bettors and new people that are involved in racing? Because you had the eye. You were around horses a lot. And so you know what you're looking for. Is there something that a novice, somebody that doesn't follow horse racing and people that are going to be following on a Friday and Saturday, what can they look for?
So for me, one thing I do like to see, dapples are a good indication of kind of internal health. They'll show a good coat condition you can't lie. A horse's coat will tell how they're really feeling. And that's an interesting thing at this time of year because a lot of horses are starting to get winter coats. And I do think the East Coast horses get to be at a little bit of a disadvantage, continuously having to ship out to California. I missed the Breeders' Cup at Belmont Park, but that is a different story. But you'll see a lot of those horses are body clipped. So they'll get a full haircut before they go out so they don't get too warm if they're starting to have a winter coat. But you want to see some dapples, which they look like little circles on the horse. So you can usually see them on their rear end, kind of across their flanks. That's a good sign. And you just want to see a horse that's moving in a loose, comfortable manner. You don't mind seeing them on their toes with their neck bowed, kind of stepping up into the bridle a little bit. You just don't want to see them losing themselves a little bit. When they start getting the white lather, that's when I start looking away.
You are too good. You know everything that you're doing in the paddock. You're so good. What a star. Hey, we're going to take a quick break here on this debut episode of Out of the Gate. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit of Hot Rod Charlie and talk about the Classic and who Jessica likes in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Is she going to be on the Hot Rod Charlie who wins the Pennsylvania Derby, or is she going to go somewhere else? We'll be right back after this quick break.
Coming soon, an enhanced Parx Racing mobile app. The improved Parx mobile app will feature biometric login through fingerprint or face ID. View wagering information before building your wager. Customizable viewing options. Hands betting and transaction history. Helpful tips. And much more. The enhanced Parx mobile app, coming November 8th.
And welcome back. Track announcer Chris Griffin joining you one more time here with the one and only Jessica Paquette, and she's joining me here on Out of the Gate, and we're talking a little bit about the Breeders' Cup. Let's talk about the Breeders' Cup Classic and some of the contenders and their essential quality. Nick's Go. And then a horse that won the Pennsylvania Derby and Hot Rod Charlie. You were here on site. I was calling the race. What a stretch run we saw there. Midnight Bourbon and Hot Rod Charlie squaring off again. Got a little exciting towards the top of the stretch as they beat each other once again. No Midnight Bourbon this time here in the Breeders' Cup Classic. But what do you think of Hot Rod Charlie's chances? And is that going to be your selection going to the Breeders' Cup Classic?
So I find this to be one of the most interesting Breeders' Cup Classic fields that we've seen in a couple of years. And for me, I know, this is the obvious saying, it comes down to pace, but this race really does come down to pace. What does Medina Spirit do? What does Nick's Go do? You have to think those two sort of hook up, slug it out. And I think that sets up for Essential Quality, who, again, he's the best of the group. However, I am rooting for him to get beat, so Latruska has more of a chance of Horse of the Year. And and Hot Rod Charlie is sort of where I'm going here. I like Art Collector a little bit as well. He's really surprised me by how well he's developed. But Hot Rod Charlie, man, what a cool horse. And he just shows up every single time. I like how he's matured over the course of the year. And I think he's a horse that may offer a little bit of value on Classic Day because he's going to get overlooked when you see Medina Spirit and Nick's Go and Essential Quality in the field.
Jessica, I am not letting you out of here without handicapping today's card a little bit. Who do you like on the card here this afternoon? We get into this Monday afternoon of racing, and you took a look at some of the runners in here. Were there some races that really stood out to you? Are there some horses that you're zoning in on? I think you're looking at Severe, but then you told me you might be trying to beat Severe this afternoon.
I'm not afraid to take a swing, right? And he could very well, win by 10 as the heavy favorite. If you want to use him as a single, by all means, I won't talk you out of that. However, I think this is a race that could offer a little bit of value. This is a horse, again, Jamie Ness has been just on fire this year, topping the trainer standings. And Severe, awesome form right now. That last loss at Laurel can't be held against him. He hung pretty tough against a good group. However, he's had a couple of really big races in a row, and at a certain point, you have to think a horse takes a step backwards, might be a little bit vulnerable. And I do think he'll get a little bit overbet with the live connections. So I'm going to the outside. That's with number 7, American Talent for Ed Coletti. This horse is the poster child of consistency, just has been in great form. 6 career wins, and he is facing a solid group here. But again, I like his last couple of efforts. He's shown he can run with this group at this level. And morning line of 6-1 seems a lot more appealing to me than 4-5.
Gonna take a look at race number 8, Jessica. This is a 2-turn race at 1 mile and 70 yards, a $7,500 claimer. These are close to our heart, right? As far as handicapping and when you take a look at horses. We've talked about some Breeders' Cup, but these $7,500 claimers always kind of check the boxes. They show up for work, they run around the racetrack. Who'd you like in that 8th race? Somebody was standing out to you there.
So these are the races that, to me, kind of they're the bread and butter of horse racing, right? And I have a real soft spot for conditional claimers. Number 9, Mithra, I think looks like a very legitimate contender here. Live connections, Paco's in to ride. I have to think this is a horse coming in with a good shot. 15 starts so far. One of my rules when I'm handicapping these conditional claimers is the less starts, the better. I do think horses can kind of stall getting that 2nd or 3rd win. But last couple of races have been okay against slightly tougher. With the class break, I think he's a lot of horse.
Before we get out of here, I want to let you talk about a little bit about what you do and where we can find you here in the next few months as you continue to recover and then maybe into 2022.
Well, I will be on my couch for the next few months, but then I'm looking forward to being back at Sam Houston in person for a few weeks this year down in Texas. And who knows, then I'll be at Colonial this summer. In the meantime, I also work for the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation, which helps find sanctuary and new homes for horses that are unable to have second careers after their racing careers are done. And that's it. I would say follow me on Twitter at @JMPaquette for a lot of running and horse pictures, but it's a lot less of that right now. But the next couple of months, hopefully back in action.
That was Jessica Paquette with her analysis and taking a look at some of the Breeders' Cup contenders. Again, that racing is coming up on Friday and Saturday. You can wager on that right here at Parx Racing. Talked about some horses that she likes today. I think Severe possibly goes down there to American Talent later on in today's 5th race and took a look at race number 8 there. Mithra has a shot. We'll talk about all those races coming up later on as we get into this Monday afternoon card. Sweet Wilhelmina, she's a little edgy in B Water. When I say those names, you can only think of Scott Lake because he's had a tremendous year with all 3 of those runners. One of them just an up-and-coming 2-year-old, but Sweet Wilhelmina, and she's a little edgy, have had some really nice campaigns. We got a moment to catch up with Scott Lake, who's been a name that everyone knows here on the East Coast, and especially right here at Parx. With these runners and what they look like going into next season, what the rest of this season looks like, and then also where B Water might go next as a 2-year-old right here at Parx. So we got a chance to catch up with Scott Lake. Here's that video.
Well, she was running an open company when she was a Never Win 2 in her life, so I was like, man, she comes back here, she has the starter conditions to run Never Win 2, Never Win 3, Never Win 4, so it was like kind of a no-brainer. Like when I claimed her, I went back and watched a bunch of her replays, and she was a horse that just kind of thrived on getting in trouble and just kept coming at him, and that was kind of part of the reason why we took her too. And right now we're looking at a race at Churchill on the 4th of November, maybe a little $10,000 starter, and then hopefully the Claiming Crown from there, and then after that, I don't know. I mean, she's, like I said, she just gets a little better every start, so I'm not sure which she's gonna fit, in the future. Yeah, I mean, she looks like a little stud horse, and she does. She's a little compact beast, and she's just been fantastic since she's been in the barn. We don't really have a plan to stretch her out 2 turns again. I mean, she ran good that day against Sweet Wilhelmina, but she's just much better sprint. She won that 2 other than that day. Like, they came to her, she just spurted away from them again. She's good. She's a good horse. She's a little more aggressive, as far as her personality goes, and when she trains, she goes out there and does her thing. I thought she ran very well. I love the outside post, especially with a first-time starter. Kind of know, being by that stud, that she's going to like the mud, and, she really ran well. Well, lately it's been whatever can go, and it's hard getting those races to go for winners and stuff. So we're kind of shooting, I think, maybe for the Blue Mountain Futurity with her just to test her and see what happens. No, I wouldn't change anything on her. She's, kind of did everything the right way. So she's maybe a little nervous in the gate. Might have to stand her once or twice, but other than that, she's great.
Thanks again to trainer Scott Lake, his entire team. Good luck with those horses and good luck with his connections the rest of this season and into 22 right here at Parx. That's it. Debut episode is done. Thanks again to the entire TV crew. Thanks to all the connections. We've got plenty more coming your way. Every Monday at 11:15 in the morning, we'll have more shows, more content right here from Parx on Out of the Gate as we bring you closer to the connections, talk about some of the races, get some handicapping. I'll have plenty of guests. Maybe we'll have some prizes to give away. Who knows what can happen now after the debut episode. But again, quick shout out and a thank you to everybody that helped put this thing together. And we're back Monday at 11:15 for more Out of the Gate. We got plenty of racing action coming your way. We'll have the scratches, changes, national anthem, all coming up for you. 3 days of racing coming up right here at Parx. Thanks again for joining us here on Out of the Gate, and enjoy all this live racing from Parx Racing.